The popularity of the cyberpunk genre has been extremely popular in the 2010s and 2020s, but it is nothing particularly new. In April 1985, Chrysalis Visual Programming created the TV character Max Headroom. Initially portrayed by Matt Frewer, he was an AI TV host within the TV movie and subsequent show. It became a sensation in Britain and eventually made its way into the American crowd as well. This leads us all the way to Chicago on November 22, 1987. During a sports segment on the TV station WGN's newscast at 9:14 p.m., the television signal was hijacked. At first, the viewer screens just went black for about 15 seconds before it returned. In the newscast place was a man swaying back and forth, standing before a metal panel wearing a Max Headroom mask. The only sound was a blaring buzz. After 17 seconds, the WGN engineers were able to access the broadcast tower and regain control of the signal. WGN sports anchor Dan Roan appeared back as a familiar face to the thousands at home. Dan spoke, "Well, if you're wondering what's happened, so am I." He continued jokingly that the computer running the broadcast took off and went wild. It didn't end there. 2 hours later at 11:20 p.m., WTTW was broadcasting the Doctor Who serial Horror of Fang Rock, and they struck again. The broadcast tower had no employees present, so the signal had more time to stabilize before finally audiences could hear a distorted voice on their televisions. The unidentified person referenced several different things. It started with a seemingly random comment about nerds before calling WGN sportscaster Chuck Swirsky a friggin' liberal. The unknown man then held up a can of Pepsi, referencing the Catch the Wave slogan from a Coca-Cola campaign, which featured the real Max Headroom. A hollowed-out dildo then came into shot, with the figure using it to cover his middle finger as he flipped off the camera. He proceeded to moan and then sang the phrase, "Your love is fading," from I Know I'm Losing You by the Temptations. This continued into humming the theme of an animated series, Clutch Cargo, and saying, "I Still See the X," a reference to the last episode of Clutch Cargo that is often incorrectly heard as "I stole CBS." The madness kept on. He pretended to defecate on the camera, complaining about his hemorrhoids, stating that he made a giant masterpiece for all the greatest world newspaper nerds. This was aimed towards WGN with the acronym meaning World's Greatest Newspaper. The faux Max Headroom then put on a glove and mentioned that it was dirty and that his brother had the other one. A cut then commenced. The hijack broadcast then became even more bizarre. The man dressed as Max Headroom reappeared, bent over, partially out of frame, exposing his bare buttocks. A woman dressed in a French-made costume with a mask and a fly swatter joined him. The man's face was out of frame at this point, and the Max Headroom mask was being held in view of the camera shot. The man yelled, "Oh no, they're coming to get me! Ah, make it stop!" before the woman replied with "Bend over, bitch," and spanked him while he was crying and screaming. The pirate broadcast then ended by the hijackers, and it returned to its scheduled programming. The total incident lasted about 90 seconds. After the crazed incident, Anders Jochum, the WTTW's spokesman, has said that they attempted to take corrective measures but couldn't. By the time our people began looking into what was going on, it was over. The air director Paul Rizzo also spoke out about the situation. As the content got weirder, we got increasingly stressed out about our inability to do anything about it. The audience was just as perplexed as several phone calls rang at the station from viewers curious about what had just occurred. The intrusion was able to take place by the hijackers due to them sending a more powerful microwave transmission to the broadcast towers than the stations themselves. Experts speculate that this would require extensive technical expertise to pull off, as well as a great amount of transmitting power. On top of this, the strength leads to the theory that the perpetrators were in the line of sight of both of the station's towers. This type of stunt became practically impossible after 2009, once American TV stations swapped over to digital signals. The FCC moved quickly and began an investigation, but were unsuccessful in finding any culprits for the incidents. According to the FCC, the crime would result in a maximum fine of $100,000 and up to a year in prison if they were caught. The statute of limitations for the event only lasted 5 years, essentially voiding any penalty as of 1992. Even decades later, no one has confessed to the crime, despite many inquiries and speculation. One leading theory is that it was an inside job by an employee. Another theory cites Chicago's underground hacker community pulling off the prank. The Max Headroom incident wasn't a major headline in the eye of the public, but another Chicago TV station, WMAQ, saw an opportunity and took it. During their own sports highlight newscast with Mark Giangreco, the station inserted clips of the Max Headroom hijacking as a joke. Giangreco reflected on the event and said, "A lot of people thought it was real. The pirate cutting into our broadcast, we got all kinds of calls about it."